Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously. Okay, let's have a look at this second bottle here, mate.
Hello.
You've got it.
Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Bought this one for Chris, our religious friend over here. This is from the Barossa Valley in Adelaide. It's called the Holy Trinity. It is a mix of Grenache Shiraz and, how do you pronounce that? Mourvèdre? Mourvèdre. It's a 2014. It is a mixture of the Burge family, their religious followings, and the land that they grew the vines on, hence the Holy Trinity. So,
yeah, well, but let me ask you this thing here. The bottle, the way it is, what does it remind you of?
A church.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
that is the closest thing
the Holy
to
Trinity Church.
Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Yeah.
I got you guys to try it. And Châteauneuf-du-Pape is one of the brands that has one of those emblem on the glass.
Right.
Yes?
That's why I thought we'd had this before. Have we had a bottle that looks similar?
No. And the reason is that Mourvèdre is from over there, the French grape. And the Grenache is also from over there.
From Rhone.
Hence, from
Spanish.
France.
Isn't Grenache a Spanish grape?
So but they use that in the Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Right.
Man, this is fantastic. That's why I went and looked at your bottle earlier, because I thought, shit, he's brought some good French.
So it's based
fortunately for me, he brought some.
Well, it says, when you do the research on it says some of the grapes are from Rome, which is France, yes?
But most of the grapes.
Rome is Italy, mate.
Rhone.
Oh.
R-H-O-N-E. R-H-O-N-E. And it's based on the Holy Trinity Church in Lindok, which I'm guessing is in Adelaide. So we'll try it.
Let's
we'll
try
rip
it.
in.
Let's try this. This is interesting. Probably going to be a bit heavy.
Yeah, it looks,
Still got some of that
little,
blue left.
Nice some colour in it.
Well, guys, what about the second subject we were talking about, which is with COVID now turning around the corner with the next budget out about 2 days ago? What's the leadership that really salespeople are looking for from this point onwards? Because things are changing fast for the moment. So what kind of leadership? A lot of the leadership that we were talking about, they are still very robust and resisting it. But some aspect of leadership is really changing now. And this is the interesting part.
One thing that's coincided with you coming up with this topic, TL, is I've been interviewing a lot recently because we've been recruiting fairly heavily. And for the first time ever, I reckon I've been interviewed more than I've interviewed, if that makes sense. The people are sitting down and hammering me with questions and trying to suss me out rather than the other way around, which to me says there's been a change in what people expect out of life, the balance they want in life. I think we talked about silver linings in COVID, and one of them is probably that you've worked out life's too short, so don't do something that you're not happy doing, or be in a place where you're not happy, or an environment where you're not happy. So I think the question, we've done podcasts on leadership before, I think the answers were going to be not all different, but some would be very different if we said, say, pre-Christmas to now. I think there's a big change because people are actually realising that they want certain things out of their leadership. The employees, before maybe they didn't realise that that's what they needed, and it was all about us learning what people needed and reading them and making sure we did the right thing based on how we've read them. Now they're reading us and trying to work out, is this the right leader for me? It's similar to, in sport, a lot of the time players – money isn't everything. They'll go somewhere because of a better coach, rather than
to win a premiership,
rather than the money. And I'm seeing a bit of that now. I'm having to answer. I'm doing my.
Is your recruiting age changed? So are you recruiting? Are you getting older recruits or older people coming through the doors?
No, not so much. Probably more experienced in life, which probably coincides with the fact that they're asking more questions. But I mean, I interviewed a guy today who was 46. That's on the upper end of the people that we've interviewed. But the majority of the people I'm talking about are mid-20s.
Okay.
Right. So that's still fairly young.
So do you find that they're coming from industries where they've been in for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and COVID's? We talked about silver lining before. Their silver lining is they've realised they want a career change for whatever reason. the cream of the crop, maybe a little bit better educated, maybe a little bit more of a forward thinker, critical thinker, and that's why they're asking
a bunch of people
questions.
who know what they want, or at least at this point in time, think they know what they want.
Good.
And that's new.
a great thing.
Well, it's new, isn't it?
Yep.
Because the majority of interviews, and I've been having a bit of fun with it because COVID's given me one bloody good question. What have you been doing during COVID?
Yeah.
And if they've been sitting on the bench taking money from the government, no good.
Yep.
But to go in with people who know what they want and have them hit you with questions is quite refreshing. And I think it does come to the experience, the life experience that they've got. Okay. Some from a sales background, some from completely different backgrounds. Yeah, interesting.
And I have to question: has leadership really changed between pre-COVID and post-COVID? Has leadership really changed, or is it the leadership people look for, whether it's at whatever crisis it may be, whether it's someone leaves an office quickly, or I don't think that leadership has changed just because of COVID.
No,
I think
I absolutely believe it. I don't think that leadership has changed.
It's the
But
requirements.
the expectation of the leadership is now way more.
Yeah, that's
right. Where people were looking at your leadership before, and were happy with you having just 80% leadership. Now they want that 95% because they can work from home. So if they're gonna work from home, and they actually now can work by themselves.
Yeah.
Right. I'm interviewing someone right now who's about to open a sub, and so he's gonna go and do it by himself, and he's thinking, hold on, it's gonna take way more than just my leadership to lead me. So he's obviously looking for someone with way more leadership than him. So the leadership that you're gonna have to display now is not going to be the leadership where you just do the bit you like, and the bit you don't like, you don't follow. It's going to have to be, here's the book on leadership. Well, be that. Don't read that and apply what you like.
Yeah. I think the first thing for me in any leader, I think it's someone who knows the way and shows the way in whatever, and it's a rock, in whatever.
I think it's more than that, Chris. It's going to have to be know the way and be the way.
Be the way.
Because show is not going to be good enough. Show was in 1980s.
Yeah.
Right? That's when you know the way, you show the way, you don't even have to do the way.
Yeah.
And so in the 1990s, well, people go, oh, yeah, okay, he's the leader.
So that was the next thing, was lead by example. So you're going to go out.
2000 is do the way, but now it's becoming a be the way.
Oh, okay. Rightio.
Right?
Yep.
So you can't say, I'm a leader, I'm doing the right thing, but then when it comes to me doing certain things with my staff, well, I'll do the bit that fit me. You know, it's a little bit like you're recruiting someone and he comes to you and he says certain things, but it fits your agenda. Therefore, well, forget about be the way. Just do the thing. I was watching very early this morning while I was working downstairs, Donnie Brasco. And you know, he's got that forget about it. The different
forget about
the
it.
different thing. And here is I think it's Joe Scopione or he's the agent, the FBI agent, and he said he was trying to explain the forget about it thing, and that's the bit. Back in the older days, 1980s, you can say forget about it, which is, you know, don't worry about it. I'll do that, but you don't have to do it. Then there is the forget about it, which is then 2000, which is no, you don't do it that way. You try to do it this way that I do, you know. But now the forget about it is forget about it now. This is the way we do it.
Yeah, right.
And so the leadership is way, way more than just forget about it.
So it's a cultural thing. Your leadership is a cultural. You got to live what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. You have to just be.
You got to understand
breathe in it.
we're going to be held much more accountable now. So, which you can tell by people coming. It's not about, you know, what can you do for me? They're asking, what are you going to do for me? Or how can you help me? A lot of people have seen the best and the worst through this whole thing, like we all have, which we've spoken about 100 times. So a lot of people will have come to the realisation that they can't trust everybody around them. A lot of people will have come to the realisation that their boss, who wasn't who they thought they were, or the company they were working for wasn't what they thought it was. So now they have these questions. So now that everyone's been found out, which again, going back to our Silver Lining podcast, I thought was one of the best silver linings, is everyone's been found out for better or worse. Yep. We are now going to be held extremely accountable to the way we lead people. Now, the basis of leadership, I don't think hasn't changed. you still need all those foundations which you guys are talking about. The topic we're discussing is leadership for salespeople, and I think that has at least 3 sections and probably more. And it's, when they first start their career, as they start to get up and running, and then when they become a champion, the leadership's got to change to suit. So what I believe when people are starting career, and from the interviews I'm doing now, they want someone who's going to be able to teach them, someone who's going to be honest, that's a bloody good start, and someone who's going to nurture them, because they've probably just been made redundant or seen their job disappear up in smoke, so they need that security. But some of the best questions I've been asked is, what are you going to do to teach me to be a great real estate agent? And I haven't been hit with that before. So early in the career, they want teaching, they want nurturing, they want honesty. And then as they get up and running, they want you to oversee them and to keep training them, but to give them more freedom. And obviously once they're champions, it's all about offering more opportunities if they want more opportunities, extreme freedom, and also giving them more responsibility. Have you guys seen We Were Soldiers?
Yes.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah,
I watched
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Before he went crazy against the
Before he went crazy.
Is that the one when the first
I will
confrontation?
Be the first to set foot
Yes,
on the ground.
first
and the last to
confrontation.
leave.
The first confrontation, the first major confrontation the Americans had.
I
with
can't
Vietnam
promise
War.
that we'll all come back alive, but I can
Great
promise
movie.
you I'll leave no man behind, right? But he talks about, there's a couple of lines in that movie in overall leadership. I come from the paratroopers, where the officer is the first man off the plane and the last one to get back on it, because to lead your men, you have to be with your men, which is what we're talking. It's not show the way, it's be the way. He talks about training. I hope you men love training, because me and the sergeant major here, we love training. So they're training all the time. But then it gets into probably in the champion stuff. It's take care of your men, but then teach them to take care of each other. I think is a real powerful line in that. And it's when the guy's got a blister on his foot and he says, check your socks. And in one, it's almost a split screen where one guy's teaching his guys to look after each other's feet, and the other split screen is the guy who just wanted the medals, who was just flogging all his troops for making mistakes, and it was the perfect definition of boss and leader in that moment. And then it was something I've been in bed for 2 weeks, crook, and something that rang true to me while I was watching is teach the man above you and the man below you how to do your job, and teach all your men to do the same thing, so that in a business everyone has that responsibility. And I think as we're dealing with champions and what style of leadership people want, we've got to be adaptable in those stages. I don't know if there's more stages than start, middle and champion status. TL, you're probably better to speak on that, but there is a different style of leadership depending on where your people are at. And the one size fits all, and in a war sense, the general who's just up there screaming the whole time, you're going to run out of steam, and your voice is going to start falling on deaf ears. So,
yeah, well, the ways of General Patton are no longer. Right? However, I have to say, he has made the leadership to survive COVID. Yeah, because he not only he leads by example, but to his core, he is the way he is. I look at the leadership that the salespeople are looking for today. Is a leadership where it's no longer about making the top rich. It's about making the entire organization rich. And I think that in that respect, the leadership is really moving fast. I want to tell you, boys, in the last few weeks, I've had many meetings with a lot of issues that are pretty deep. I sat down with leaders who pointed the finger at me, but who behind closed door had been talking to other people behind my back. I haven't not dealt with that because it's a different point of view. But I also want to make sure that if I do something wrong, that I recognize. And in one of those meetings, it was about me having done something wrong. And the wrong thing that I've done was that I sat down with someone and jumped to the wrong conclusion that person has transferred to me, and therefore came up with a totally different line that probably I shouldn't have gone to, I sat down with a leader who said to me, I was hurting when I saw that video of you apologizing to the leaders about it. And I said to that young leaders, no, I truly believe that when you're wrong, you must admit you're wrong. And I truly believe that this COVID time now is about that time for those leaders. that you have to be able to live the best leadership you can, but also recognize that you're a human being. You stuff up. You do the wrong thing by others. That when you're deep in your own self are thinking that you're doing it right.
Yeah.
But the moment that someone's pointing it out and you're seeing it, you must do the best you can and rectify. And that to me is very important in that style of leadership. Not a leadership of showing you when we're in public, but in private, I'm something different. And if anything at all, that new leadership that's coming out now is there's no longer that curtain between private and public.
No.
Yeah. It's who you are all the time, 24/7.
Yeah.
And
And I'm loving it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep throwing it at you because you hated the word, but
The silver lining.
it is a silver lining. Well, no, we've spoken about it, and we've spoken about it on this podcast before when we've done leadership, and one of the things we talked about is being open and transparent with your team, and the guy you mentioned before is very good at it, and I've talked about how at the start of the year I sit down and show my whole team the figures, so there's no skeletons in anyone's closet. Everyone knows exactly. COVID has now forced that upon you. If you're not open and transparent with your team, you're not going to have your team.
You're going to lose the team.
You're not going to have your team. You're not going to be able to keep people. You'll blame other people for not being able to keep people.
No, you will keep
won't
some
be-
people, Cam. You will keep some people. The one who are scared of going out and seek a better leadership.
Yeah.
The ones that are comfortable because this leadership has given them that kind of a semi-comfort.
It's given them the security.
And I hear that, mate. I sit down with leaders who say to me, oh, my team is the most important thing in my life. But then the next breath, they're saying, well, I'm thinking of selling the whole lot. Oh, really? Like, fuck the team? Is that what we're saying? So those are the things that you hear. And I'm sorry, this is not the leadership that salespeople look at after COVID.
Not anymore.
Mate, and I can't wait for that. I think that for me, I would love to get to that leadership where a leader walks around with a light. It goes green when whatever he says is true. It goes red when he's lying. And the person in front of him can see that. That's what I really would want to see in leaders.
Yeah, it'd be a great world. It's the same as we've talked about the same when people are choosing a real estate agent. We want exactly the same thing. Know who's lying, know who's. It's the same in everything about life. How good would it be to just be able to choose to hang out with people who were honest and did the best they could the whole time? And that doesn't mean not fuck up. Like Thomas and I fight about who's the king of the fuck up, right? I reckon I got him covered. He reckons he's got me covered. But you know what? And the reason we fucking get along, we're from different generations.
Is that I win all the time? I fuck up more than him.
No. We both fuck up, but none of us sit there and say we didn't fuck up. None of us sit there and we're the first to admit when we're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what I can't wait. If that's the world we're heading into, where that's what the base expectation is, if that's the first
beautiful.
If that's the first thing people are looking for, how fucking good is that going to be? Because no longer will we.
Not only bad boys, but it's one thing to fuck up, but we also recognize that the person is bigger than the sum of all they fuck up. That if you are going to decide to look at their fuck up, you need to sit down and look at what they've done right too.
Yeah, the 300-page book.
You know what, guys? That ability to tell people that you fucked up is a control of your ego and not fear of loss. Having no fear of loss. But there's a lot of people out there that will lie because they're fear of the retribution or the
their time
response.
is up, Chris. Their time is up.
There's a lot of people still doing it, and they
I get it, but their time is up.
people hide behind these things.
Social
called
media
white,
is here, brothers. We spoke about it 25 minutes ago.
They hide behind these things called white lies. I don't give a fuck the color; it's still a lie.
No, but what's happening, mate,
I'm
is
safe,
I can tell you from
yellow.
It's not going to happen overnight, but I can tell you from the interviews we're doing, that time is over. People aren't buying it anymore.
Yeah,
they're coming in and interviewing you. I know there's something wrong now when I say to someone, have you got any questions? And they go, no questions. I'm like, well, that's funny because the 3 people before you fucking grilled me.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going to interviews now doing pre-interview fucking preparation for myself when it should be them. I don't want to be the one sweating, but now I'm the one sweating and it's fucking awesome. And they go, are you busy? And how big's your business? And I go, look, at the moment, fucking it's me and a couple of guys and we're doing the best we can. And if you want to be a part of something that's growing, so be it. And they go, fuck yeah, I want to be a part of it. I don't have to bullshit
I'll stop you there
anybody.
because you're exactly right. You're not bullshitting people on the story. But how many owners, how many people are out there, leaders, are saying, "Oh no, we're doing this."
Yeah,
and
but
this
they're
and this
losing
and this.
because of it.
And then reality comes in. These recruits come in and see the truth of it.
It's a
This
cycle, mate. That's going to. I'm saying, I'm not
It will
disagreeing
evolve
with you.
itself out. They will die by evolution.
What TL's
Yes.
saying, and I 100% agree, is the time is over. Whether it affects them right this second, or it affects them
5
6
or
months
10
or
or
12
whatever.
months.
Yeah.
I reckon within 6 to 12 months.
There will be an evolution where the liars will get caught out.
Because we're not out of this. Like, I won't get off topic too much, but we're fucking by no means out of this. You wanted one of the topics to be today, no new cases, where to from now?
Yep.
And since you wrote that thing, there's been 25 new. We're not out of this fucking thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Yep.
So the short memory of people and leaders in this case who think, righto, COVID's over, it's back to fucking
Whatever.
general pattern
Yep.
or whatever, mate. They're absolutely kidding themselves, and they're heading for a massive fall.
Yep.
Massive fall. And to be honest, with the year we've had, who's got the fucking energy for that shit? Who's got the energy
Yep.
for bullshit and to lie to people and to be greedy to people and make false promises to people?
Yep.
I fucking don't have that energy, mate. It's the
Yep.
longest fucking 6 months in rugby league history.
I think people make those false promises for the saying, hoping the other person you make the promise to will forget it or just sweep it under the carpet or
Because
just say
show
whatever.
leadership was their way.
Right.
Right. I also believe that the new leadership is going to really be about the leaders understanding the Trinity of SMS. You know, I've spoken about this. You know that is something that I have uncovered from all my years of working. It is about the Trinity of SMS. S for skill, M for mindset, and S for self. For example, I was training a bunch of salespeople yesterday. And when a person was talking about his issue that he didn't get the listing, I really asked him, I showed him first of all about the Trinity. And I said to him, so before I train someone like you, I asked myself the question, is what you're having an issue of skill? And I said, I know your skill level. It's pretty good. So I'm now going to have to look, before I give you the real medication, is this a matter of mindset? And he looked at me, and the way he looked at me, I went, okay, the mindset's got some. But then mindset is usually followed by the next one, which is the S for the self. If you don't really believe that you're a good agent enough, you will set your mindset, and then therefore your skill means shit. And at that point in time, you could see that guy clock. So as a leader, the leader of this new generation has to know, where do I train or improve the salesperson? Is it in the self? Because I can't sit there and say, oh, well, you miss out the listing. All right, let's do closing. Let's train on closing, because it might not be closing.
Yeah.
There are people that you train on closing all day long, and then when they go out, they don't even close. Why? Because there is something in their S of self that is not allowing them to go there. Therefore, giving them the medication on skill is like giving someone Panadol when they have cancer.
Yeah, no, it's again, sound like a broken record, but you've been preaching that a long time before COVID, mate. But now it's been forced.
Yes.
Now it's been forced.
And I'm loving this, Cam. I'm loving this.
You'd almost call it a silver lining, wouldn't you, mate?
Man, you're going to have
You beat me
sales
to
guys.
that
You're going to have sales guys who are going to sit down with their leaders and realize their leaders have lied to them. Have lied to them at the point of interview, or have lied to them before they were even employed, or just after they were employed, day one or after. And you know what? Like poison, it always finds a way to hurt.
Yep.
Yes? And when it comes out, you are going to burn way more than that person. You're going to be burning your own beliefs and values.
Yep.
And as a leader, this is when we're going to see the change of the guards, boys. You're going to see leaders who are, human enough to know, I'm not God. I'll make mistake. I stuff up, I put my hand up. But don't sit in front of me and tell me that I stuff up when you know you've done way more behind my back. Those are the leaders that are going to go.
And the fear's been removed, and it's a good thing. The fear's been removed from the employees or the people looking for job, because apparently they've just lived through the fucking end of the world, and they're still going for interviews, and there's still jobs out there. So they don't have to sit there in a job that they hate anymore, or with a boss who's lied to them. And we won't use the word leader, because if they're lying, they're a fucking boss.
Yeah.
They're not even a boss. They're 400-pound gorilla.
They don't have to sit. They don't have to sit there anymore, and they won't. And
You're a salesperson that owns a business.
And it has somewhat reinvigorated my faith in the younger generations, which was lost for some time. To have these young people coming in off the street and giving it to me in wanting to work in an environment that suits them, not just because they need a job.
Yeah.
Maybe we're heading in a fucking great
Right
direction,
direction.
guys. Oh, a bunch of people who want to work together for the right reasons.
I interviewed a guy yesterday that I've taken him through the last 4 weeks on a series of interviews. And he said to me, Thomas, I know you've given me 2 options. 1, that is to run my little show. 2, that is to work for you. What do you think? I said to him, for me, the best thing for me, it would be for you to work for me. All right? You make 0 money. You will enjoy your life and you'll grow. But for you, for the predicament where you're at right now in life, my best advice for you is run your little show, because that's the way for you who at your age now need to have your first home. That's the fastest way for you to get that. And he looked at me like, hold on, how can you just give me an advice that can work against you? Because I said to him, because in the long run, it's not about me, it's about you. Because in the long run, you'll find out and you'll realize when I first did it about me.
Yeah. It reminds me of and I don't remember where I heard it. It was a book I read. It was a win-lose scenario is lose. Yes. Lose-lose scenario is lose. Yep. Win-win scenario is win.
Yeah.
Success principles, or
it might have been success principles. Stephen Covey's success principles.
I go even further. Lose-win is about win.
But you know what? I don't think it is lose-win, because I think for you, with that gentleman, win-win, you win by seeing him succeed in what he wants to do, because you know you've had a hand in that.
I need desperately someone who's going to be my right-hand man with a lot of things. So I'm, in many ways, I'm losing.
Okay. Yeah,
7 habits of highly successful people.
But it doesn't matter that I'm losing, he's winning, right? It's about what is right for the person.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And I think that the leader of today have to put that first. You have to forget about you winning if it is not the right thing by the person.
Yep.
Like if you making about the decision that could be decimated $15,000 in income for you a month, but it's the right thing by your organization, you must make that.
Yeah.
And find a way to get that 15 stuff from somewhere else. And there's always many ways.
You can also help that person. You can also help.
Oh, fuck it. I'm no good for a loan.
You can also help that person to see the right way. Because, they may be seeing things in the wrong way. In their eyes, they may be the right way. And again, maybe they need that critical thinking and just to slow down a little bit. And just
sometimes you can bash your head against the wall for so long, mate, it starts to
That's
hurt.
true. That's true. That's true too.
I like the wine, mate.
Yeah, I was about to ask, speaking of the Trinity.
The Trinity of SMS, I said to Cam when you said it.
Yes, I know, I showed.
The Holy Trinity, the Trinity.
How do we rate it,
It's a good
mate?
wine.
I don't mind it.
It's nice. It's getting better, actually.
It is a good wine. Looks to me like you're number 2 this week, and it looks to me like you're going to stay number 2 this week.
Well, seeing you overspent and you brought fucking...
Hey, you stop it. You stop it.
We'd lose-win.
You go.
I'd just like the people to know, speaking of fuck-ups, this bloke and honesty...
in Katoomba, and you'll find it, and you'll tell me.
Mate, the petrol spent there goes on your bill.
You go to Denver.
the petrol spent to get there and get back.
So if you go to Hunter Valley, we've got to include your petrol.
No, the Hunter Valley came to me today. I think I'm going to get home to 12 nice bottles of Thomas Allen, mate.
Beautiful.
No, I think that the leadership, for example, yesterday I had a lady who called me because the leadership seminar is about to come. And she called me because she realized that in the previous years, she invited herself to the leadership, where this year she wanted to ask whether it was for her. And to me, straight away, it meant for me that she has grown.
And she's ready.
She's gone to her next level in leadership. And that is a beauty.
Thank fuck for that.
And those kind of leadership lessons are very good. Why are you saying that? You're making me laugh.
Sorry, mate.
You can't do this shit when I'm just delivering a line.
He was delivering a line. Yeah.
You know what? If there's any listeners out there that want to just come in and maybe bring another bottle and sit in the bullshit that we speak about and eat the food that we have, why not invite some other people in?
I think one of the beautiful things about...
Yeah, we could do that.
I think that one of the beautiful things about doing this is once we sit here and get on the microphone and talk what we talk and sprout what we sprout, we really got no other option but to be who
you got to live.
You
got to live. Yeah.
And I think
do you say what you do, but do you do what you do? Do you do what you say?
No, one other thing I go further in is that I've now seen you boys through all of these podcasts. And by the way, if you've really been following, this is our 80th podcast.
Wow.
Yep. So looking at all of these podcasts, you guys have not only shown a better leadership by yourself, but you are becoming leadership. So therefore, leadership is becoming a being. That's a much higher level.
I think you're coming down to our level, mate, which is...
I just can't believe, actually, if that's our 80th podcast, that's 240 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Fuck!
That is
maybe not the wine of wisdom, but it was in the podcast.
Around 200 wheels of cheese, pieces of cheese. I don't know how many kilos of salami and blood.
Listen, I need to make sure, because he said something there, and which demands clarification. I see your leadership close to me, yeah? Cameron, I'm still looking at him down the road with binoculars.
Hello!
He's coming. He's getting close. But
why are you walking that way? We're over here. I just like going my own way, brother.
It sounds like you're standing in my garage next to my wine collection.
I mean, he does very good tango, like 1 step forward, 2 step back.
Mate, I am fighting the however many years, and I don't think it's just 38 years. I think it's knowing my mother and father the way I do. You can add there 60 or 70 years onto that. Whatever is innate in us Wilsons to have to do things our own way and learn the hard way. That's a couple of 100 years of evolution that I fight on a daily basis.
I love you saying, Cam. I love you saying. I honestly do. When you said it to me, it was quite of, so, yeah, that's fucking Cam. And you know yourself, right? You're quite self-reflective, which was the fact is this. Thomas tells you to do something, and you try your fucking hardest to prove him wrong. Yeah. Until you realise, just do it fucking Thomas's way. Yeah. But you sprout that. It was great. I've tried to prove him wrong, and I haven't been able to yet.
Oh, I've stopped trying.
No, but you're not understanding. I've been analysing him and seeing all the things he's done wrong. So I've told him that thing that should have been done, that he didn't try. So when he hears me, he tries again because his Jack Daniels brain forgot he's done it before. So he's gone through the entire range again, fuck it up, and then try my way.
You know the fire's hot. Someone's told you the fire's hot. You won't stick your whole hand in the fire because you know it's hot, but you might just want to check with your pinky just to make sure the fire's hot. You know, it's not about complete.
They jump in 2 feet.
It's not complete disregard for every bit of advice that's ever been given to me. A lot of it's to do with how you deliver. I still cannot, for the life of me, when someone tells me to do something, react well. I just ask. And I don't know what that is in me, but... So
if they ask you to do something, no
ask
problem?
me to do something, 100%. If I get even the smallest hint that you're telling me to do something, fuck you.
So this is fantastic, because if you want him to fail, tell him what to do.
He rings me and he goes, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you're going to do this. And I get off the phone and punch holes in walls and go, fuck that, fuck you, little Belgian, Asian, bloody... And then he rings back and he goes, brother, why don't you maybe try, could you do this? And I'm like, oh, okay, brother.
So it sort of explains when we're at a pub having a shout, I say, Cam, your shout. No, it's not. Instead of, could you like to shout? Yeah, I'll shout. Now I know the difference now.
If I buy you a drink, would you buy me one, yeah?
I
don't use brother with him anymore. The last time I used brother, mate, we had one of those on the podcast.
Brother. I like the Trinity.
Yeah, right, Ken.
Listen, boys, I think I can't wait to see more of the leadership.
I think more things are going to land in the laps of people who do things the right way, and that's the law of returning karma. I think in the end it's going to work out for the good people in life. So happy days.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great.
Talk soon.
Cheers, boys.